What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's March 7th, 2023. I'm Trey Crowder, and that's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? We got a fun show today about some big brain damn bullshit that
Hmm.
hurting people to win over non-existent votes. It's I found it pretty frustrating, but we got some fun stuff before we get to that. Before we get to the show, it feels like Tucker Carlson overstepped. He finally started airing that all that January 6th footage he got from Kevin McCarthy as part of his deal to become
Yeah.
speaker. Uh, Agreed to hand over 40,000 hours of unedited January 6th footage to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, that's such a
And
wild, condition for the Speaker of the House to have to agree to in the first place. You know what I mean?
mhm,
To give all that footage to the nation's preeminent right wing propagandist. And
yeah,
it's just like that's just public information and everybody knows it. It's pretty crazy. But so anyway, that
yeah.
happened, and now what's Tucker done with it? He's
Well,
pissed him off.
he talked narrated over the footage that we've all seen, saying that the stuff we're seeing on the screen didn't happen or something. It didn't make any sense. Like he said that the footage of Josh Hawley running away was a lie because other people also ran away. Doesn't really make sense. The point of roasting Josh Hawley was he egged the protesters on. That's why they're making fun of him for running. Everybody was running. Nobody wanted to fucking die. But anyway, it feels like he overstepped because Mitch McConnell slammed it today, and a bunch of Tom Tillis said it was bullshit, and like so, you got the rare Republican senators versus Fox News thing. Even though a bunch of House members, House members tend to be more crazy, were on the floor saying that we got this proves that all of January 6th was a setup, and they got to release all the prisoners. Anyway, it'd be fun watching them eat each other alive because it's such a weird thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm into it, but they'll be back suckling the teat before too long. I'm sure.
Right.
It won't last very much longer. I'm assuming.
But it's like it's so weird. They have such a parallel. Fox News viewers have such like a parallel universe they live in that they'll never see Mitch McConnell, you know, call out Tucker or Tom Tillis or whatever. But I was thinking like they could just pretend Trump's president and be happy. Their viewers would never know if Trump wasn't president. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny. Yeah. Just do some, yeah. Just do a whole fantasy camp thing for them the whole
Yeah.
time. Just pretend. That's a good idea, Mark. I don't know how you get them. Well, I mean, they would make the same money either way, right? You could maybe sell them on that. I don't know if you could, but somebody could sell them on that, because that's an
Yeah.
interesting idea. Just present this fabric. They already present a fabricated version of America, but do the one well. But see, they don't want them to be happy. Like that's the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want them to be fucking riled up, not
Mhm.
content. So they'd be more inclined to do the opposite. It like if Trump was president, still present a version of America where Biden's pulling the strings and everything is fucking terrible. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to keep everybody pissed off because that's where the
Yeah.
big
I mean,
money's at.
you're right. Their ratings are always way higher when a Democrat's in office. Just like MSNBC's ratings boom when Trump was in office. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Tucker was a fucking shitbag, especially to push this hard after he got caught in court filings texting that his viewers are idiots and he knows the election wasn't stolen. So there we go. All right, this story came out today. You want to talk about some spy shit, Trey?
I love spy shit. Well, I love like fake spy shit usually,
Yeah,
spy movie. Like I love Tom Clancy or whatever,
yeah,
but real spy shit is often infuriating, I find. But
yeah.
yes, sure, let's talk about
For
it.
sure, because like movie spy shit is like doing parkour on the top of a train trying to retrieve stolen documents. Like
Right, exactly.
real spy shit is like doing ecstasy with a member of the Saudi royal family, so he'll tell you which members of his families are pedophiles, so you can blackmail them. So so it came out today that sources inside the U.S. government, that's the multiple sources, but say that they think someone affiliated with Ukraine are who blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. All right, remember when we talked about a little bit when they got blown up like earlier in the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's the
and
pipeline that supplies Russian natural gas to Western Europe or
right,
Germany or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So Ukraine, obviously the number one suspect, they had the most clear motive. But like the thing about spy shit like this is you all you ever see is smoke, right? No one ever tells you where the fire is, so it leaves the door open for a lot of conspiracy theorizing or just like reading tea leaves. So like, it, number one suspect Ukraine, number two us to try to keep Europe from fucking going wobbly legged in the face of Russia because they didn't want to be cold this winter. And then you get into like third and fourth tier things where like somebody doing it to like frame Ukraine or frame us to escalate tensions. Then you get into like Bond villain stuff where like maybe somebody had shorted Russian natural gas companies like in the plot of Casino Royale. They were trying to do a terrorist attack off the plane. It doesn't matter. Like it's like everybody's just fucking guessing. But so the question is like, why this week? And the real answer is, and Matt wanted to talk about this a couple weeks ago. We're kicking around story ideas. Seymour Hersh wrote. See, you know who Seymour Hersh is, Trey? Familiar with his work?
Only because of the outline. I didn't recognize the name, but he uncovered the My Lai massacre and a bunch of other like major moments in American whatever military and espionage history.
Right.
That type. Yeah.
So he's a pretty legendary investigative reporter, but he's sort of gone off the pretty far out of the mainstream the last couple years. Like for example,
he's old as shit, right? He's
right. So like he said he wrote a whole book, I think, or at least a long investigative piece that like we didn't kill Osama bin Laden, that the Pakistanis handed him over. Oh, we didn't do the raid. They handed him over, and we executed him. And that doesn't make any sense to me as far as what I know about Pakistani politics or how the intelligence services work. It also doesn't make any sense because like the bin Laden raid didn't go perfect. Like we crashed a helicopter and had to shoot a couple unarmed women, right? There's also the thing, like the crash in the helicopter revealed that we have stealth Blackhawks, which I guess they'd rather not do. But then you get into the conspiracy theory part. It's like, well, other countries' intelligence agencies would have known we have stealth Blackhawks, so us revealing it gave away nothing while making it look more real because of the helicopter crash. But you got to also deal with the fact that some Pakistani dude who lived in the neighborhood live tweeted it. Remember that?
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, so going back to this article, Cy Hersh wrote this whole piece based on one source, and he also made the mistake of using a bunch of specifics about what Norwegian ships were used, and there was public tracking data available. So that was pretty easily debunked. As far as the rest of it, I don't know. But he said that Joe Biden ordered the Navy SEALs to do it, and we partnered up with Norway to do it. So, but it is weird that the intelligence community felt the need to respond to a blog post by an old guy working in his basement. Right?
Yeah, but he's like, I mean, I know he's gotten older and whatever crazy. He's lost some of his cachet, but he's still like, he's a name in that world.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people taking it seriously, but then a bunch of people debunked it, and none of us will ever fucking know who blew it up, right? I don't like it. Doesn't anyway. Whoever blew it up probably didn't need to because it was an unseasonably warm winter in Europe, and Germany actually ended the winter with more natural gas reserves than they usually have, even despite not having Russian gas. So, like, thank you. To global warming.
Yeah, right. Yeah, climate change for the win, aiding the war effort. Yeah. Before we move on, though, just because I'm dumb, will you explain to me the version where we did it? Like, why is it that we did it? We wanted Europe to not be beholden to Russia,
right? So
to not be incentivized to kowtow to Russia because of the gas, so they couldn't have the gas held over their head if the option wasn't there. Okay.
Right. Like Germany's supplying a lot of weapons to Ukraine too, and at least nominally being vocally in support of the war effort and in support of Ukraine joining NATO, I think. So it's we would do it to remove the leverage Russia had over Europe if we did it. But somebody with a lot of skills dove to the bottom of the Baltic Sea with 1,000 pounds of explosives and did like a couple $1 billion worth of damage to a Russian gas pipeline. And I saw, the online, public intelligence outfits like Bellingcat trying to figure it out today, and they were like, "Well, they think it was like somebody rented a Polish yacht to launch the operation." It's like good luck, guys, trying to figure it out.
It's always wild to me thinking about these dudes actually like somebody did it. You know what I mean? Like it's wild to me that these people are real somewhere. Like, I don't know. It's pretty wild. It's not like you said, it's never as cool or as sexy as in the novels or the movies or whatever, but like those dudes still
I mean,
exist, and they're doing the weirder, dirtier version of the same thing. It's pretty
mhm.
crazy.
Depending on what the motives are, I mean, let's remove morality from it for a second. It was cool as
I'm
fuck.
sure they do. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whoever
I'm
did it
sure
was a fucking
removing
badass.
morality from the equation is like that's chapter one. That's like
Yeah, and
day one of
and
spy training.
without them knowing their motives, or they having a control universe where it didn't happen, and we don't know how the war played out or is played. We don't know how it ends already. Like it's like we don't know. Anytime you do something like this, you don't know the down the line effects of it. But like anyway, in that moment, the couple hours they did the operation, badass motherfucker.
Rad. Super rad. Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah,
All right, well, let's get into it. With us, as always, is producer Matt, although he's joining us from a different location. That's right. He's out west. He's down here with me and Mark. We're all going to get together a little bit later. You guys jealous? You better be, because you're not going to get to see him. You're still not going to. That's right. Me and Mark get to see Matt. Y'all don't. The man of
yeah. We're going
mystery
to
is now crossing state lines. Hold on, Mark. You
we're
going to tell people where we're going? Somebody might
not
come
exactly.
and see Matt.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm about to say
yeah,
we got to
yeah.
protect Matt's identity here.
There's
So anyway,
a steakhouse. I won't say the name of, but
yeah.
me and Trey and Drew love, and it's like this old Hollywood vibe, and it's like the kind of place you feel like, yeah, a mobster definitely got like a hand job from Marilyn Monroe in here. This place rolls.
Yeah, narrowing it down a little bit. But anyway, he is with us on the ones and twos behind the scenes right now. This is Weekly Skews. Before we continue, I, of course, want to remind you of the requisite items of business. Number one, if you'd like to see me perform live, go to TreyCrowder.com. I'll be in San Diego on Sunday. And then later this month, we're going to be in Virginia, Frederick, Maryland, Philly. A lot of good dates coming up after that. Still adding plenty more for the rest of the year. So go to TreyCrowder.com. Check it out. Come and see me. Number two, my special is out. It's called Damn Boy. You can get it on Amazon right now. You can also get Corey Forster and Drew Morgan's specials, respectively. You can get them all together as the well-read comedy special extraordinaire, or you can just get them individually, whatever you want to do. Either way, go on Amazon and check them out. Finally, number three, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. Go to weeklyskews.com/more, or just go on Patreon and search for my name. You'll find it either way. $5 a month get you access to full-length bonus episodes. We're going to do another one later this week, right? Or did we just do one? I can't remember. Either way, we do them every other week. We're having a lot of fun with
We
it.
did
We
one
hope.
Friday, so
Yeah, we
yeah,
just did
yeah,
one. So yeah,
yeah.
check that one out. We get into things we don't have time for on the main show, or things that come up in between, or just shit we want to talk about, but we're having a lot of fun with it. We hope you'll check it out. Like I said, weeklyskews.com/more, or go on Patreon and look me up, sign up on there, get some more skews in your life. Now, as for the show tonight, as Mark alluded to up top, we're nothing if not even-handed here at the Skews. And tonight we're going to be talking about some moves that the Biden administration and Big Democrat are making, and have us scratching our heads, to say the least, siding with Republicans on a D.C. crime bill and gutting the nation's food stamp program, plunging millions of Americans into poverty. Fun. But before that, we've got some other good stuff to talk about, including, of course, where we begin, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, all of us as a society, for making Ron DeSantis think he needs to wear high heels if he wants to be the president. That's right. So if y'all don't know, president's got to be tall. We ain't voting for no short motherfucker out here. All right. Ron DeSantis is 5'9". That's the American average height for a male. All right. So not quite a short king, Ron DeSantis, but all of our recent presidents have been 5'11" or higher. So you got to be tall, or don't even try to show up. All right. So how is Ron DeSantis approaching this? Cowboy boots, baby, big heeled cowboy boots, which seem to be doing the trick, Mark. I don't know. He's looking taller in pictures. I think he's
Yeah.
pulling them
Let me.
off.
If you got this picture of him next to Tiger Woods, Matt, boy, okay,
There
yeah.
it is.
So
Tiger Woods is
there's him.
6'1". See?
Yeah. So DeSantis clocking in at 6'2" in that pic, unless he's standing on an apple box or something. This is like, so DeSantis is an Italian guy from Florida. And he's wearing cowboy boots. Now, cowboy boots come in a bunch of different varieties. He's got the ones, the absolute highest heels, which you would only wear for actually riding horses. All right.
Right.
There's no other reason to fucking wear them. And
Right.
here he is.
Because of stirrup reasons. They fit the
Right.
stirrups better, the ones with the big ass heels on them. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
the data
I
trade
mean,
throughout.
no. Also, there's, if you don't want people to think you're short and thus not vote for you for president, that's the other reason why you might wear them, Mark. That and riding horses.
I can't get over, like, who was the last bald president we had? Teddy Roosevelt?
Ooh,
Yeah,
bald.
he
Yeah,
got.
Wasn't Eisenhower bald?
Oh yeah, Eisenhower. Yeah, and
Okay.
I guess Jimmy Carter had like the bald spot in the middle. But yeah, you got a good head in general. You have to have a good head of hair, which is why Biden has hair plugs, and you got to like be at least 5'11" and a half. The last shortest president was Jimmy Carter at 5'9" and a half. Biden's 6 foot, even if you're wondering. I looked it up, and Trump is supposedly 6'3", but he quite obviously wears lifts because he can't help but lean forward all the time, like a centaur. Um, so the last actually truly short president we had, according to this piece, was William McKinley. It was 130 years ago, so definitely not since the advent of television. We can see how short people are.
It's so
Uh,
funny the things that like genuinely do matter to who can become president in this country, like objectively speaking,
mhm.
and fucking like height, hair, the whole classic, like who do you want to have a beer with? All this shit that like none of which matters at all in terms of their capacity to lead or govern or anything like that. But that's just America, baby. Can't have no
Yeah,
fucking short ass bald dipshit up there. Well, actually, we can have the dipshit part's fine, but
yeah.
uh,
Well, I'm 5'9" and bald, so my presidential dreams are over.
yeah, I think you're
Um,
out.
so I like it's so weird. I was reading a writer's room once where like it was a bunch of people that were like all over 6 feet, and they started roasting me for being short one day, and I was like, it never occurred to me I was short. Never thought about it. I could reach everything I want to reach, so I never,
Well, dude, I don't
never.
know how you're gonna react to this, but I was in Texas this weekend, and there's this kid who opens for me sometimes. His name's Maverick, and he's 5'9", right?
Mhm,
And he's got a whole bit that he does about how short he is, how it's hard to date when you're a short guy, like Tinder sucks when
mhm.
you're short because the whole thing, gotta be 6 foot on Tinder or whatever. This whole thing about how girls talk to him like, "Oh, what's up, little fella?" All this shit, and like it all plays. You know what I mean? Like the audience like is totally going with it. Like he is a little guy. And I'll tell him,
When you
I'm like, dude,
started
you're like the average height. You're not that short. He's like, yeah, but look at
when
how
you
everybody
started that
reacts when I say I'm short. So
when
yeah,
you started that story, I was going to say I bet that's a fun dating app thing because like I've read
yeah,
about height discrimination dating apps, but I never personally experienced it because like I'm old.
me too.
Um,
Or me
but
neither.
so
Whatever.
yeah, so but speaking of DeSantis, I somehow missed this story from last fall. It's in Harper's. Speaking of, we're talking about DeSantis. I knew that DeSantis was in the Navy after Harvard Law School and in the JAG Corps. I did not know he was stationed at Guantanamo Bay. And I also did not know that his job there was supposedly to make sure that America was following human rights laws. But instead, he was enthusiastically participating in torture.
Mm-hmm.
Is the interview with the guy who was there? He's interviewed by an American combat veteran. His last name is Preisner. This inmate's name was Adaifi. And just to get this out of the way, like we never tried any of the guys at Guantanamo Bay, and we just let them a lot of them go because like the war was such chaos. We were paying people cash for tips that like a lot of people just sold their people they didn't like to America, and we tortured them for 20 years. All right, maybe this guy was in the Taliban. Maybe he's just a guy. I don't fucking know. But either way, I don't think they were trying to do a hunger strike. And DeSantis helped like hold these guys down and force feed them Ensure, and then also gave them medicine to give them diarrhea. And he was there for a lot of beatings. This guy remembers DeSantis laughing in his face. So yeah,
Yeah.
DeSantis is evil. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like this whole thing totally checks out with everything we know about Ron DeSantis. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like,
Mhm.
so he can say, not that he would, considering the side he's on, but it's like, his job was to make sure the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay were being treated humanely, right? But that makes him kind of like a narc to the guards and the people there at
Uh-huh.
the facility, right? So instead, to ingratiate himself to them, he just totally just actively participates in it and shirks his ostensible job duties in favor of getting in good with the other people there. And also, look, and also, I'm sure he just enjoyed watching these dudes get tortured. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm not trying to downplay that part. I'm sure the laughter was genuine and the guffawing as they were fucking choking on the Ensure they were being force fed and then throwing back up onto the shoes of the guards and stuff. I'm sure he found that to be a laugh riot, very genuinely. But it
Yeah.
also just like it just fits. It fits perfectly in who I view Ron DeSantis to be. The whole
Hmm.
thing.
You said not fulfilling his job duties, but he also wasn't fulfilling his duties as you know, a
A
naval officer, a lawyer, a human being, a
human being.
man.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the laughing is like you can't even do the. Okay, I understand the height of the war on terror. People are pretty jacked up and stuff. You can do the just following orders bit, but the orders were not to fucking laugh and enjoy it like this. So yeah, fuck Ron DeSantis. We talked about on Friday on the Patreon. And we got into whether like DeSantis is worse than Trump, and I'm pretty confident that I'm. This just solidified my opinion that DeSantis is worse than Trump. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass, speaking of Trump, our first honorable mention is Joe Biden for thinking he could beat Donald Trump in a game of wall, hide, and seek. Matt, if you got this clip, go ahead and play it for us.
The wall was sitting there waiting to be installed, the easiest part. And Biden, they took it away so that Texas and Arizona couldn't use it. Texas and Arizona said, could we use that wall? We'll finish it right up. And they said no, and they actually took it away and they hid it. They put it in a hiding area, which of course was revealed pretty quickly. All you have to do is send a couple of helicopters up.
All right. Yep.
They didn't let them use it. Under my leadership, we
Joe
will
Biden.
seal it up.
Kind of at
The hiding area.
Joe Biden Trump had built the wall. He hadn't. It was almost finished. It wasn't. And Joe Biden took it away. He didn't. And put it in a hiding spot. He didn't, which you can see from helicopters that Trump apparently still has control over, which he doesn't. Yeah, this is from CPAC over the weekend.
It's also like Arizona and Texas sitting there being like, hey, can we please use that wall? And Joe Biden was like, no, I'm taking the wall, the whole wall. It's like, how did he transport the entire wall? Like, take it to the officially designated wall hiding area that we have. Like, it's just, the whole thing is so comically sophomoric and stupid.
Yeah, I wonder, like, you watch this stuff and like, do people listening to this? I mean, I know they enjoy it, but do they believe it? You know what I'm saying? Is it just like I know? I guess it doesn't matter.
I think so. Yeah, I think they do. Most
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, this was at CPAC over the weekend, which is a real scene for the dozens of people that actually showed up. And that's why I wanted to make the honorable mention, for the next honorable mention, crowd shots for misleading about the strength of our movement. Check out this applause line Kimberly Guilfoyle got.
Yeah, this is great.
Because all of us in this room have one message to Joe Biden. It is time to put America first.
I've done some shows like that, Kim.
There's another video I saw. Yeah, I've done that show too. It was too long for the payoff, but Wayne LaPierre, the guy that runs the NRA, was giving a long speech about, because the government was suing NRA because Wayne LaPierre had stolen a bunch of money essentially, and he was saying it was politically motivated, which maybe it was, I don't know. But he was saying like they cannot be allowed to stand. A big applause line, and literally one guy goes, "Boo!" his big moment with one guy.
Here's what I don't get about this. I love seeing this, of course, but like, I don't know. They still win elections and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, you see this and it's like, oh, people are losing enthusiasm or whatever, but I don't know. Then it doesn't seem like that on election day. And also, like, they seem to get pretty fired up, and they seem to be pretty, you go through certain parts of the country, they seem to be pretty ubiquitous. But
Yeah.
maybe they just ain't got CPAC money, or maybe CPAC's one of those things where like, if you've been to one, you've been to all of them, and they keep having fucking 5 a year or whatever. So maybe even these people are like, I'll skip the next 3. Maybe I'll go back in 2024. I don't know. I just.
Well, they had Trump was their big headliner, obviously, and they had some of their big names there. Marjorie Taylor Greene was there, Jair Bolsonaro, Donald Trump Jr., but a bunch of big names like DeSantis, Pence, and Kevin McCarthy skipped it. And the reason why was one of the things that affected attendance this year is the guy who runs these, but his name is Matt Schlapp, and he was accused of groping a male staffer of Herschel Walker's campaign back in the fall. He's being sued for it. They said the story goes he was driving him back to his hotel, and Matt Schlapp just grabbed his dick and tried to get him to come up to his room. And because this guy's a Republican staffer, he has more credibility than a woman would to these people.
Sure.
So like, yeah, the quote was me find this guy's quote. Interview with NBC News, one anonymous GOP operative said that top Republicans had already come to view the conference as a chore in recent years. And someone said to me, quote, "We all wanted an excuse not to go, and Schlapp gave it to us." So yeah, these things are boring, and Matt Schlapp, being a pervert, allegedly let them off the hook. They had a bunch of like real banging events. Let me get a couple of my favorite panels they had. No Chinese balloon above Tennessee, hosted by Marsha Blackburn, your home stater.
Mm-hmm. Take a stand, Marsha. That's right.
Mm-hmm. No Chinese balloon above Tennessee.
Well, you're doing great. Doing great, Marsha. It seems like, since there aren't any or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's fine.
Finish the wall, build the dome was another one. They want to cover America in a dome to kill illegals from coming in through trebuchet, I guess. And then another one was Don Lemon is past his prime time, which like no one except for Don Lemon thinks about Don Lemon that much. And I don't understand what the fuck these people. I think it's about him saying a couple weeks ago saying that Nikki Haley was past her prime or something. My least favorite moment was a guy named Michael Knowles, who writes for Ben Shapiro's website. He got a loud cheer for saying that, quote, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life. I do want to show the clip because it's fucking gross and fuck that guy. And he threatened to sue people that quoted him accurately for saying he was approaching genocidal rhetoric, because his argument's like, well, I'm saying I want to ban transgenderism. I don't want to like kill transgender people. And my thing is like, substitute another ism for that, Judaism, right? Seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally genocidal rhetoric. Transgenderism should be eradicated from public life. I don't see any other way to interpret that. I saw also they're passing around this photo of that dude with a drag queen or trans person or someone. Did you say then by the name of Lady MAGA, like Lady Gaga, but it's MAGA. It doesn't really work. It only works if you don't say it. It's one of those approximate situations. But anyway, sitting there, with a big smile, which doesn't prove anything. Those people take pictures with whoever. Either way, it's fucking, it's, they're just like the whole saying the quiet part out loud thing. They've been getting way, more brazen about in recent years. And now they're just, especially with trans, again, ever since they either found out, remembered, or started to care that transgender people exist around about 2016, they've just really zeroed in on them, and they're seeing how far they can push it, and it keeps getting wilder and wilder, like this.
Yeah. There's a bunch of really gross laws being passed recently trying to ban trans affirming care, not just for kids, but for adults as well. So now 40-year-old people can't decide what to do with their bodies. So they're branched out from women and coming after everybody. To finish up with Trump's speech, because he's quite clearly in campaign mode, it was pretty fucking apocalyptic. That literally said, America, the country is in an epic battle against sinister forces. The nation's becoming a crime-ridden, filthy communist nightmare. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior, I am your justice, and for those who've been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution.
Yeah.
He is the terror that flaps in the night, Trey. There was...
Yeah. I wonder, I bet they had to talk him out. Like, I wonder who removed the word divine from that last statement. You know what I mean? Divine retribution. I'm sure he wanted to throw that in there. I'm surprised he showed enough restraint to not do so.
Yeah, the rhetoric is pretty clear because the movement can live on without him, but he's trying to say, like, if you don't elect me personally, then you will have lost, right? Yeah. So there was one bit of, I don't hate to call it levity, but we talked about Friday about his future cities thing he wants to do. He wants to build Jetsons-like cities. Anyway, but play this video because the end is pretty funny. Matt, if you got it. Maybe it won't play.
It's buffering, everybody. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Matt's in a hotel, guys.
It's also Twitter's been buggy lately. Anyway, so you can take it off, Matt. I'll just tell people what he said. So he talked about the future cities and how we need to, like, the government needs to regulate architecture to do different build. But anyway, at the end, he's got a plan to help, solve America's population crisis by baby bonuses. So he says baby's basically going to pay families to have new children, which any improvement in social network, social safety net, I'm in favor of. And but he said, the way he said is like, I'm going to pay women to have more kids, And he goes, "You men are going to be so lucky." So even then, he frames that as paying women to fuck their husbands more.
Yes. And I agree. I agree with you about that. It's very Trumpian. The whole thing. He's like, "You men are so lucky. You're so lucky. God, we're gonna have a baby. Boom. It's gonna be great." But like, you alluded to this. That's like, if any like Democrat politician said that, I feel like they'd lose their minds.
Communism.
We're gonna give women money to have more babies. They would automatically interpret that as like black welfare queens or whatever. You know what I mean? Like immediately. And they would lose their minds booing and hissing and everything. But he says it and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be great. More fucking. We get more fucking in here. That's America, baby. It's like, it's just I don't know. It's also typical.
It's also, how can you, it also, like we're talking about their effort to end food stamps in a little bit, and it's like, so it goes along with the Republican idea that every baby should be born and there should be more babies born, but the minute they leave the hospital, life is a fucking nature red in tooth and claw, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're wondering how the fuck it's possible for Democrats to ever lose elections to fucking idiot moron animals like this, we're about to tell you. So Joe Biden did two things in the past week, or that they're coming to fruition this past week, that I find absolutely maddening and infuriating. I don't even understand. The policy ramifications are pretty horrific, but I also don't understand the politics of it, because the people that like Trump aren't going to switch over to Biden because he pretends to be harder on crime or something. Right. So this first piece I want to talk about is why Biden stabbed DC in the back. So basically, Washington, D.C. Passed a bill to restructure their criminal codes. And right-wing media did a bunch of fear-mongering about it, saying a bunch of shit that's absolutely untrue that we'll get to in a second. And because DC has home rule, the Congress and the president can overrule anything they do. Republicans tried to pass a bill to do so. They did with one Democratic vote, Joe Manchin, because Biden had signaled that he would veto it. So he had covered every Democrat to vote against it. And then after they'd all committed to voting against it, he tweeted that he was going to sign it and fuck them into looking stupid. And a lot of them switched to vote for the bill they had previously said they're going to vote against. So this is also the context of Biden has argued that DC should be a state. Right.
So DC, their license plates in DC say taxation without representation, because they don't have any representation or very little autonomy. They're like kind of just they don't have much in the way of self-governance, which Biden has always said is bullshit and should not be. Now they make an attempt at self-governance. The Republicans move to shut it down, and then Biden at the 11th hour switches course and sides with them in doing so, while still saying he thinks they should be a state and have some autonomy, which is both sides of your mouth talking type bullshit.
Yeah, let me quote Joe Biden himself. Any denial of self-governance in D.C., he proclaimed, is an affront to the democratic values on which our nation was founded. Okay. Let's talk about the actual bill, because for some reason, the media doesn't ever actually talk about what's in the fucking law. You heard a bunch of stuff about legalizing carjacking or something, which is absolutely not true. The basic idea here is they hadn't reformed their criminal laws in like 122 years, I think. So there's a bunch of stuff that like it was just written weirdly in a modern context. For example, the current statute had one robbery statute with a maximum penalty of 15 years. It covered everything from nonviolent pickpocketing to beating a victim to the point of near death. All right. Also, they had an inability to prosecute people for shooting guns off within city limits if they couldn't prove they were trying to harm or kill somebody. You had to have intent to harm somebody. Otherwise, you could just fucking shoot cans or shoot in the air, Yosemite Sam style. And
because as I said to you before we started, because when their current criminal code was written, it was like if Grover Cleveland wins re-election, you start shooting into the air on the White House lawn or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a little good old fashioned frontier fun or whatever. You're not going to criminalize that. Everybody needs to be able to shoot their guns in the air, Yosemite Sam style in celebration, but probably not in 2023. But the way their laws are written, you can still do that type of shit. So like they have these ancient criminal codes they're trying to bring up to speed. It gets reported on and talked about, especially by Republicans, as them being softer on crime And Biden doesn't want to seem soft on crime, so he sides with the Republicans on it, even though the bill is not necessarily soft on crime. It's just like a modernization effort, pretty much. Because they also say, like, DC's off, our nation's capital is a, crime-ridden hellhole. It's insanely dangerous, and now they want to do this. Also, and I know there's different parts of every city, but I go to DC pretty much every year, and I fucking love it. And it's like, it's not Fallujah for anybody that's not been to DC, So like they overstate the issues in the first place and then act like DC actively wants it to get worse, and only the Republicans care enough to stop it from getting worse or whatever. Yeah. And Biden is like tacitly supporting that narrative, basically.
My beef with the law, I think it was still overly draconian. Like, the purpose of the law that somehow got lost in here was to make it easier to prosecute crimes. They were trying to lock more people up. That was the purpose of this bill, but somehow it got construed as being soft on crime. Like for example, the thing people talked about in cable news all the time was like they lowered the carjacking maximum from 40 years to 24. The way they did that was they surveyed the census people actually got and found the judges were usually giving people about 15. So they lowered the maximum from 40 to 24 because no one was getting 40 anyway. And also, like, they left a little room above the 15 in case somebody did something especially egregious, like, I don't know, kidnap, like steal a car with kids in it or something. But like, I want to meet the carjacker, since this is about incentives. We're talking about Joe Biden's incentives here for a second, but like in a second, but like, I want to meet the carjacker who's like, I will carjack if I only have to give up 24 years of my goddamn life in prison, but not 40.
Right.
Who is this fucking person?
Yeah.
Like, have these people thought about what it's like to even spend like a year in jail? It's not fucking pleasant. It's not, you're in prison. It's like, this is fucking stupid and awful. But like, it gets so lost what the actual truth of this is. No one, like the other media doesn't talk about the politics of it, the horse race shit. No one talks about what's actually in the bill. Like, look at this idiotic framing. I want to talk about, and Meet the Press talked about this on Sunday. If you got the video, man.
Let's see here.
So, for y'all behind the scenes, what Matt does, he skips ahead trying to get ahead in the rundown, and then he.
President Biden essentially said he was not going to veto the Republican override of this law. And essentially, Democrats are saying he doesn't want to look soft on crime. Is the D.C. City Council out of step with where the National Democratic Party is on what has become a really critical issue?
Oh, no. In fact, the bill that is getting all this controversy is a version of the model penal code that many, many states have adopted. That's what's so frustrating about this. But the bill has been reframed by the Republicans in the House and the Senate. So, I mean, let's just take the crime of carjacking. Our current law has a 40-year maximum penalty. Judges don't sentence 40 years. They sentence 15 years. Our revised bill has at 24 years. Let's take Tennessee, where Senator Hagerty's from. Their maximum is 12 years. No, we're not out of step.
Got it, Matt. It's amazing what arguments look like if you put actual facts in them, right? Why am I having to tell people this? Why is the news not fucking telling people this?
Right.
Why is the news lady giving a bad faith argument in the form of a question to this guy and leave it to him to say some actual facts? You're the fucking reporter. You can read the bill, right? And it's like, I need Joe Biden to show me the guy who was going to vote Republican when a carjacker got 24 years, but will now vote for him because a carjacker got 40 when he's not going to get fucking 40.
Right. Also that guy's not going to know any of that anyway. And also, but just like, they're not going to know any of the specifics. And even in a broader sense, like, show me the guy that was going to vote against Joe Biden, but then it's like, oh, okay, actually I'm with him because he sided with the Republicans on this thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, all right. All that dude is going to look at is that as Biden being, whipped into submission by the people who he's with anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just like a victory for his people. And yeah, that's what you get, fucking Biden. That's the only perspective he's going to have on that.
Anybody who remembers this when they go to vote is going to remember that Joe Biden was on the verge of being very soft on crime, but was defeated and browbeaten by manly, strong, tough on crime Republicans. He doesn't even get any
Right.
points out of this. He fucked over Washington D.C. He fucked over anybody who has the bad luck to get caught up in the criminal justice system. He fucked over, Democrats in the House and the Senate. For what? I can't even figure out what the goal was. And we're so the only thing I can figure out is that Joe Biden saw this ad put up by the National Republican Senate Campaign Committee, because it's fucking terrifying, and it makes it like this Joe Biden was legalizing this or something.
Should we be softer on crime, like Democrats want, or should we be tougher on crime, like Republicans and the American people want? That is the debate.
The D.C. Council voted today to completely overhaul the district's criminal code.
Removing most mandatory minimum sentences.
Residents who live in the area say they do not feel safe.
I have residents who are concerned about their safety.
Right.
A violent weekend in the district.
That's dystopian, right? It looks like DC is like Mad Max or some shit, or Escape from New York. I tried to watch the Fox News coverage of this, and when I clicked on an episode, a clip from Neil Cavuto, the pre-roll ad on the Fox News website was for the show Cops, which felt so fucking perfect. It's all propaganda all the time. So anyway,
I mean, I hate how draconian America is about crime in general on both sides, really. We don't really believe in second chances. People get thrown in the trash. It's all about it's all entirely punitive. There's no rehabilitation involved. And you can't say any of that without people thinking you're soft on crime, like you're just okay with crime. Like nobody's okay with crime, right? But if you catch these people, desperation leads to crime. People commit crimes. And if you take that person and you remove the few options that they did have from them forever, what the fuck do you think is going to happen after that? Like it just doesn't make any common sense to me to treat crime in general the way that we do. Like we got a massively high recidivism rate. We fucking imprison way more people per capita than any other developing country.
Oh, I got the numbers right here. Let me read them to you. The United States has 4.2% of the world's population and houses around 20% of its prisoners. If locking people up stopped crime, America would have zero fucking crime.
Right. Exactly.
The freest country in the world locks up more of its people than Russia, China, Saudi Arabia.
See, that's crazy. And you can't say any of that. I mean, we can say it, but you know what I mean? Like, because now you're soft on crime. Like, what are we supposed to do? Just let them roam the streets? It's like, try something else, try fucking
anything.
Education and rehabilitation and all that type of shit, and social welfare, make people less desperate, take care of people more generally. There's a million things you could do to try to address it that don't involve just cracking heads, which is all they want to do, which doesn't fucking work.
I looked it up, by the way, and according to the Metropolitan Police, DC's crime was down from 21 to 22. Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. I do want to say, crime is bad. I wish there was no crime. Being robbed sucks. All right. I'm not saying that we should legalize crime and let everybody out of prison, although it'll let a lot of them out that don't need to be there. But my friend's house got robbed recently. They're really well off. They lived in a gated community with private security. They had guns in the house. They happened to not be home, but they literally could not be any more safe. They could not be any more safe. I'm not saying guns. I know the statistics don't make you safe. I'm saying they're doing everything they could to protect themselves. They still got robbed, right? The cop who's assigned their case, the detective, told them two big lies. One, he said he probably couldn't solve it because LAPD had been defunded. Their budget went up 10%. That's just a fucking brazen lie that's very easily Googleable in 10 seconds. The second lie was that, but even if they caught the guy, Los Angeles prosecutors, who's a mild reformist, probably wouldn't prosecute him anyway. Now that's more egregious and cynical, because the one thing reform prosecutors do that might affect this case at all would help them solve it. Because what they do is they stop prosecuting bullshit low-level arrests like loitering and personal use drug possession. So cops have more resources to focus on cases exactly like my friend's, which any smart-minded, well-meaning cop or prosecutor would be focused on, because they were organized, they're professional, they had a plan, which means they do it professionally, which means they'll do it again, they'll do it soon. That's the case they'd be focusing on, but he was lying, saying he couldn't focus on it. It's the inverse of fucking reality, right? And it's just the fact that you would lie like that drives me absolutely insane, because you do need to focus on professional criminals who are organized, because they're going to keep robbing people. It makes people feel violated. My car got broken. The only crime I've been a victim of that I know of is my car got broken into a couple times. It's not fun. It sucks. But like, as long as there are bills, like you said, as long as there's hunger, there's going to be crime, right? Which is why the second part of this I want to talk about, maybe even more furious. Joe Biden is rapidly, accidentally or semi on purpose, shrinking the welfare state that was rapidly expanded during COVID and was doing a lot of good for people. In March 1st, the federal government will shut off enhanced SNAP benefits for 32 states, DC, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. That's food stamps, if you guys aren't familiar with federal acronyms. About 42 million people are on food stamps. This is going to affect a lot of them. Almost all recipients will get $90 less per month on food aid, the beginning for the last 2 years. A family of four gets their monthly benefit cut by $330 a month, and seniors can get their benefits drop from $281 to just $23. Senior citizens are going to lose almost $260 of their $280 in food money. And that the total is like 31 million Americans. It's about 10% of American citizens have been thrown up what's been called the hunger cliff. Why?
Why? Yeah, right. Exactly. I just don't. I mean, but literally though, why? It's like they just don't view it as a fight worth fighting, or what the? I mean, what
I
the
haven't
fuck
heard
is
any
the problem?
I haven't heard any Democrat make any noise about this at all. Republicans, the last thing we talked about, the crime stuff, screamed about this at the top of their lungs so they got what they wanted. I haven't heard one single Democrat defend what is presently the status quo. We're not asking to pass anything new. We're asking to pass legislation to keep the current status.
Yeah.
No one's even, like, keeping the status quo is the easiest thing to do in government. It's literally a layup. The one study from the Urban Institute found that the extra allotments kept 4.2 million people above the poverty line in the last quarter of 2021. That reduced poverty by 10% and child poverty by 14%. And no one even wanted this. Like, it wasn't just effective at fighting poverty. It was also really popular. Both rural and urban Americans overwhelmingly supported the expanded program, according to the last survey done about it. How many things unite your rural and your urban Americans at this point?
Yeah, right. I mean, I just don't. Like this type of shit. This should be the easiest thing in the world for the Democrats to do. It's stuff like that. Help people, poor people in particular. Like you said, it's not even passing sweeping legislation to give people way more money, so everybody starts bitching about, well, who's going to pay for this? My taxes paying for this? It's just keeping the shit that's already there. That has proven effective. So what possible reason could there be for not? Is it because behind closed doors they've been told, like, hey, we're going to let that expire, and if you try to fight us, we're not going to, I don't know, work with you on some other thing? Like, they had to pick and choose some other.
They didn't. It was part of a deal in December. Democrats made the Republicans to avoid a government shutdown, so they got temporary extension in government funding to eliminate this extension in SNAP benefits. And by the way, remember the context here is Democrats held both the House and Senate until January.
Yeah.
They could have passed a government funding bill at any point, at any fucking point. They could have abolished the debt ceiling. By the way, they gave away this, forget the morality of keeping people from starving to death for a second. Republicans are going to ask for some concession to raise the debt ceiling. They've already said they're not going to broach cutting back Social Security and Medicaid. They'll never vote to cut defense spending. What's left is essentially SNAP. So even if you're going to give it away, you should save it to give it away later, just from basic gamesmanship. So this is just malpractice on every level. But like, this is a context where like grocery bills are 11.38% higher in January than a year earlier as food producers bank record profits. And I want to say fuck this guy for a second. This piece I'm quoting from had quoted from an earnings call from a chain called Grocery Outlet. It was a discount supermarket chain that gets a lot of SNAP.
Discount Grocery Outlet?
Yeah.
I go there all the time. Go ahead.
It's called Grocery Outlet. Yeah, is the name of it. The company's chief financial officer cheered the coming reductions. In many ways, on investors, it's good for a model those benefits decline. It puts more pressure on those consumers, and they come to us to stretch their dollar. He's saying it's good that people have less money to spend on food because they have to shop here.
Yeah, right, because the food's cheaper there. Yeah.
Right. So fuck him. I can't even say what I want to happen to him. But like, what's the politics of this? This was popular. Like, show me the guy who wasn't going to vote for Democrats, but will now because his neighbor's kids are hungry.
Right.
Show me this fucking guy, so I can burn his fucking house down. He sucks.
It's just that people on food stamps, like, you know, nobody gives a fuck about them, man. Nobody on either side. And like, this just makes it so clear. And I know you're about to queue up this this video here in a minute of Kennedy, right? This infuriates me because, like,
I want to say this. So last week I talked about the inflation crisis and I put air quotes around it, not because I want to minimize people suffering or trying to struggle to pay for groceries, but the way it's talked about as a problem for the economy as opposed to the human beings that live in our country is fucking stupid. And you talk about nobody gives a fuck about them, but there's 42 million people. It'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't know someone on food stamps. They might not tell you they're on food stamps, but you absolutely know somebody probably who's on food stamps unless you live in like a wealthy gated community and come for money. But when you talk about fighting inflation, this is one of the ways they do it. Because if people have less money to spend on food, there's less demand for food, food prices go down, inflation looks better. They're starving people to make the lines on the economy chart look better. And I bitched about the Fed crushing the employment market, trying to bring inflation down, which is a similar strategy. I think maybe I've seen Bernie and AOC bring it up. And now here you have John Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, the guy who sounds like Foghorn Leghorn and the cartoon crocodile who had a baby. He brought it up today. He tell you yesterday. If you want to watch this.
You're raising interest rates to slow the economy, are you not?
Yes, to cool the economy off.
And one of the ways you measure your success, other than fluctuation in gross domestic product, is the unemployment rate. Is it not?
Yes, one of the measures.
Okay. So in effect, I'm not being critical. When you're slowing the economy, you're trying to put people out of work. That's your job, is it not?
Not really. We're trying to restore price stability.
No, you're trying to raise
not wages.
You're trying to raise the unemployment rate.
There are a lot of
that mean I know you don't like the phrase, so
he's
let
not
me
going to answer
strike
the question. Yeah, he's like, it's two steps. That's what he's trying to do. It's like I lower interest rates. Companies have money to invest. They hire fewer people or fire more people. There's less money in the economy. Inflation goes down. It's one of the it's one steps in the chain. So he doesn't want to say yes, but lowering employment's absolutely part. We've talked about this before, but like it's not just if the economy has to have live human beings fed to it to function. What's the fucking point of it?
What also just pisses me off that it's like that they've allowed or made it so that the dude like Kennedy there, as you said, fucking Senator Foghorn Leghorn, like a renowned dipshit, is like on the left of the administration on this. Like, and he's coming across as like, I watched that and I don't know anything about him or whatever. And I'm like, hell yeah, fucking go after his ass. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, get him. You know,
they're going to run to the left.
Me.
They're going to run to the left, especially if Trump's the nominee. Trump can come in and say, I send you extra money during COVID. I raised unemployment. I expanded the child tax credit.
God.
I fucking increased SNAP benefits. I did. And what's Biden going to say? Because like Biden's let the child tax credit, which was one of his signature policies in the American Rescue Plan, that had child poverty. He quietly let it expire. They're about to like cut back on Medicaid. The Medicaid expansion happened during COVID. That expires March 31st. Somewhere between 5 and 14 million people will promptly lose Medicaid coverage once that happens. And all these things are effective and popular. And they're just like, when everyone's unemployed and broke and food stamps and healthcare run out next year, and the election's next year. We're about to do this again. It just occurred to me earlier today.
It's not good. You're freaking me out, buddy. I just don't understand why, just the why of it all. I don't get. I mean, I guess it's that the fucking inflation. Everybody's bitching about inflation. Oh, we got to cool the economy off or whatever to fix inflation. And this is just another element of that. And it's like, at what cost? Like,
if poverty was halved, less people were hungry, more people were employed. I don't care what the fucking chart says, man.
Also, all these companies are making record profits too during this inflationary period. It's like, well, something clearly ain't right there either. Like, address that part. Like, they're gouging people and they're just getting away with it. And instead of that, they're fucking, taking people's jobs and starving them. Jeff Curry says, Amish here raised the price of a dozen eggs from $1 to $1.50. Greedy Amish.
I don't think people realize Amish people are rich. They got a ton of fucking money, dog. Because they don't spend any. They just use it to buy more land and accrue more real estate. They fucking they're prosperous.
Shell B says my friend is disabled and living on $700 a month. They just cut her food stamps by $90. Yeah,
I do want to
It's a
say,
lot.
if you guys want to do something and try to impact this, the Farm Bill, which covers SNAP benefits and food stamps and a couple other welfare programs, comes up for a vote every 5 years, and this is the year. So if you want to call your reps and yell at them about this, feel free, and it might have an effect on the margins. Yeah.
All right. Keep it going, Matt. Beverly Wallour says, sorry, Bev, says senior citizens, the handicapped, military families, and working families are a lot of the recipients of food stamps. No, I mean, I know. Like, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I was on food stamps my entire childhood, and then through a lot of my early 20s and stuff, I ate food bought with food stamps. So, like, believe me, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's not a newsflash to like the people in power don't give a fuck about the people at the bottom of the ladder, which is all I was saying. Lola Podinsky says we measure the economy ass backwards. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it ought to be trickle up economics.
I think I brought this up before, but you ever heard Jeff Bezos do his 100 billion humans thing?
That sounds familiar, but no, I don't think so.
Basically, his argument for why we need to colonize Mars and the moon and shit is like, he's like, if we have 7 billion humans and we get a Mozart and an Albert Einstein, then 100 billion, we'll get that times X number. But like, there's so much untapped human potential. What if you just fed the kids that were hungry so they could study in school?
That's so true, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. Do you know how many like Mozarts and Einsteins have fucking starved to death in a slum in fucking Brazil or wherever? Like way more than, the ones that we're aware of. So yeah, that's such a good point. We should start with that first. Kim Cusado, longtime viewer says, longtime skewer says, unfortunately, Republicans who get food stamps still vote Republican. Yeah, that's true. That's because, in my experience, that's because they need their food stamps, Kim. It's different.
Yeah,
I've literally known multiple people like that, who would be welfare queens and food stamps and stuff, who are on food stamps. Are like, well, I need mine. They're just lazy.
It's like I'm the category of people who deserves help, and you're not. It's racism, a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, that is true. Shep says, I was on food stamps after the military for a month or so. I needed help getting back into the world. I mean, yeah, look, I ended up being like, I was on food stamps, Pell Grants, all that shit. And now I'm like a tax paying, contributing to society motherfucker. Now I think I've given more
tax paying. I don't think either one of us really contribute to society, but that's argument for a different day.
Well, I mean, taxes contribute to society, but you're right. I mean, what I do isn't, not important, but like, I'm just saying, like, the government made an investment in me as a person, and the return on that investment by the time I'm dead will be fucking massive for the government. Like, the shit does happen and the programs do work, and people that part goes completely unacknowledged. It's just, they're just drains on society is how people talk about them, but that's not fucking true. I hate this shit.
Every time somebody, and I might have done this rant before, so stop me if I have, but like every time some politician makes the mistake of pointing out that Cuba has a better literacy rate and better healthcare outcomes and life expectancies than America, and it's like, oh, so you're a communist sympathizer? It's like, I wish somebody would give the right answer, because the answer is like, no, it has nothing to do with communism. It's they invest in it. Any type of economic system can invest in their kids and their health and their people and their educational systems. We choose not to, because like, the real answer is Cuba's a small country who neighbors a very aggressive country near it who wants to destroy it. And they know that good healthcare and good educational systems are good for national security. So they invest in their people so their country is strong and can defend itself. And that is the real answer. Why don't we do that?
Yeah. It's a hell of a good question, Mark. I don't know. One that will go unanswered for quite some time, I would imagine. Well, listen, y'all, I want to remind you again before me, Mark, and Matt go and eat a bunch of meat here in a little bit. Go to TreyCrowder.com. You can find my special there at the top of that, and also my tour dates. Please come and see me. We're having a good time out here on these streets. Also, you can go to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can go on Patreon and look me up. Sign up on there, get bonus episodes of the show, and support us in the process. We'd appreciate it. Either way, keep coming back every Skews Day, and we will too. We'll see you in 7 days. See you. Love you. Bye.